Okay, so hello future engineers. For this discussion video, we have to understand the concept of thermodynamics. So thermodynamics is a separate field of science. But for this discussion video, we have to understand thermodynamics in the field of understanding related to chemistry. So let's start our understanding with thermodynamic measurements and quantities. So thermodynamic systems are described by measurable quantities such as pressure, volume, temperature, and amount of material. Take note of the following terms, wherein these terms is also related to the type of parameters discussed in our previous discussions. This is because a change in any of them may result in a change on the property and state of the system it describes. With this, in the study of thermodynamics, no one can ever go away from measurements and its related works, whether it be on the concepts of thermodynamics or any other sciences. So we have to fully understand the concept of measurements and at the same time the concept of units used in this type of measurement. So after successful completion of this lesson, you are expected to convert different thermodynamic parameters across different system of measurement. You will have to perform solving problems related to thermodynamic parameters such as, but not limited to temperature, pressure, density, and work. So derive different equations for solving pressure. So this topic about thermodynamic concepts is a series of discussion videos or a series of lessons when we have to understand the from the basic to the complex part of thermodynamics is applied to chemistry. So we have here some thermodynamic quantities. Since the study of thermodynamics involves the changes in thermodynamic parameters, it is important to review the different fundamental dimensions and concepts that are involved in such changes. So, if you will have to go through or to run through the module you have, so we will have to understand that all the concepts presented here or all the parameters discussed in here have already been discussed in the concepts of physics or even though in the early sciences subjects. So we have to understand or we have to review the concepts on the dimensions and units. So measurement is the extent, size, capacity, or amount of something or has been uh, determined. It is composed of a magnitude and a unit. The magnitude determines the quantity of something being measured, while the unit determines the physical quantity of being measured. So aware nito niya kabalo na ta kung ano ginatawag naton nga dimension kung ano ang unit. So for example, 1 kilogram. So kilogram is your unit, 1 is your dimension. In 1960, the international community had agreed to use a standard means of measurement in scientific engagement known as your SI units or the SI based units it is important in the study of thermodynamics as what was presented here in the table we have to discuss. So take note that the concept of measurements study or the standard concept of measurement, the standard basis of measurement started in the year 1960s. Prior to this year, ang ginhimo sa ating mga ancestors is that they are using sari-sari nga type of measurement standards or mayara sang lain nga unit of measurement sa sari-sari nga mga lugar. If you remember before, ang ginahimo sa ating mga ancestors is that even ganyang ilang mga body or ang ilang mga unit of measurements is based on the human body. For example, mga isa ka dupa, isa ka um, isa ka mga foot na or pila ka tapak, pila ka steps sa amo na ang mga type of measurements, mga cubit na before ng mga measurements. So we have here to review the concepts of different types of units, specifically mga units nga basic na katama. This one was discussed already sa previous natin nga discussion, but we have to review sa sini nga concepts. So we have, come back to physical quantity nga mass. So mass is the unit, ang iyagig nga sakto nga definition is this one. The mass ng Platino-Deridium cylinder kept at the International Bureau of Weights and Measures at France. So, ang iya nga unit is kilogram and then abbreviation is kilogram. So I presented here even the correct nga definition sang mass kung di na siya or kung paano siya derive ang ina nga measurement. So we have also length. So magkambal ta length. So ang aton nga ginagamit nga unit is meter, wherein it was derived as the distance that light travels in a vacuum during this period. So sini nga time of a second. So, meter. So, halina siya sa speed of light. So, meter. Pila ang ka-measure sang imong speed of light in sa amo nga seconds. So, meter. So, time. The duration of cycles of radiation associated with a specified transition of cesium atoms. Second, so amo ni ang ilang basis of a derivation sa mga scientists kung paano nag-arrive sila with the concept of the units na ginagamit natin sa buong. So we have also temperature. So we are aware nga kung maghambak kita temperature, ang unit of measurement na ginagamit natin kung standard or SI units is Kelvin. So damo pa kita sa different types of measurements or different units of measurement na pwede man gamiton. So we have to understand it later on. So we have amount of a substance. So this one, ginascuss natin sa ating previous nga discussion, ginatawag natin nga mole. So represented by as many elementary entities or molecules as there are in a specific atoms. So these base units, so take note, ang ginpang mention natin are the base units na ginagamit for SI. But ang ining base units, amo siyang ginagamit man in order for the scientist or the mga people working with science to derive certain units. So ang tanan yung mention natin is the unit of mass, length, time, temperature, and amount of substance. Ginagamit siya in order for them to derive the units for the following. So we have here, mga derived units includes volume. So ang volume is mass lang man siya gin measured or length lang man siya gin kwaon nato ni different size din multiply naton. Same also with force. Force has a unit of kilogram meter per second squared or newton. So volume is cubic meter. Energy is joule. So maghambal ta joule, so newton meter lang man siya. So kung tanawan naton ang mga units na ginagamit is this one. So we have kilogram meter squared second squared or newton meter. So kilogram halin sa aton nga base unit, meter halin sa ating base unit. So, second is halin sa ating base unit sa babaw. So, we have also pressure. Pressure, so pressure ang unit na ginagamit natin for pressure is Pascal. So, Newton per square meter. So, kung tanawan natin, Newton is kilogram meter per second squared. So, Newton meter squared naman niya ang imo nga Pascal. Newton per meter squared. So it was also agreed upon that as a unit prefix that in SI units, prefixes may represent multiples or decimal fractions of various units. So take note, or you should review the concept of your measurements using prefixes. So, dari na masulod, especially if we will have series of conversions later on wherein we will be using sang laggo katama ang mga units or gagmay katama ang mga units. So, dapat kabalo kita magamit sang abbreviation or the magbasa sang prefix niya. So if it is 10 raised to the power of 15 ang imong units or ang imong exponents or imong power. So peta, 10 raised to 12 is tera, 10 raised to 9 is giga, 10 raised to 6 is mega, 10 raised to 3 is kilo. That's why kung 1,000 na siya, kilo na siya. 10 raised to negative 1 is deci. 10 raised to negative 2 is centi. So we have also milli for 10 raised to negative 3. We have micro, 10 raised to negative 6. Take note also of the representation or ang mga symbol. So micro is mu, nano is n 10 raised to negative 9, pico is small letter p 10 raised to negative 12, femto is f, atto is a, zepto is letter z 10 raised to negative 21. So take note, you should be familiar with this type of abbreviations and kung paano natin siya i-plaster sa ating mga answers. There are different system of units available and are being used in different communities around the world. So hamba ko gani may sari-sari kita nga type of ginbasihan sang mga measurements. So despite nga may ara kita sang standard units nga SI, but we have also sang ginatawag naton nga metric nga units or any other type of units, mga English nga units. So take note, maghambal ta metric unit, it could either be MKS or CGS units. So based diri sa atong table nga ginalantaw subong. So ang ginpang mention naton nga mga quantities, pwede siya naton i-convert into one form of units to another system of measurement. So we have for mass, so we will have for example kilogram for SI, metric is kilogram, CGS is gram, English is pound. So we could convert from any of these units to another unit. For length we have meter. So we have centimeter for CGS and foot for English unit. For time, so tanan-tanan sila, second lang man na sila. So we have second. Take note lang kung word ang ginapangita for CGS units mo letter na siyang second. So we have temperature. Temperature that is Kelvin for SI metric and CGS and Rankine for English unit. For the amount of substance, so mole na siya for your metric, so kag SI, and then pound mole for your English unit. So for volume, that is cubic meter para sa SI, liter for metric, centiliter for CGS, and gallon siya for English unit. For force, that will be Newton for your metric and SI. Pound force naman siya for your English unit. So pound force is just pound lang siya po ng measurement. So, or pound lang siya, or LB, or LBF for pound force. Next, we have energy. For energy, that is joule. Joule for the SI, kag metric, erg for the CGS. And then foot pound force para sa aton nga English unit. For pressure, that will be Pascal for SI kag metric. Pound per square inch for your metric. Due to the existence of different systems, a skill in converting one unit to the other is needed in order to solve problems in thermodynamics. Such skill is known as your dimensional analysis, wherein one uses conversion factors to jump from one unit to another. So conversion factors are fractions composed of numerator and a denominator of the same magnitude expressed in different units, so as expressed. So we will have here sa ating nga table, so sa mga different types of unit conversion. So pwede natin i-measure or pwede natin i-convert from one type of unit to another. For example, sa aton nga mass, pwede ka ma-convert from kilogram to pound or pound to ounce, pound to gram, and even kilogram to other units such as gram and ounce. So pwede natin ma-convert ang aton nga one unit to another unit. Another one for length, for example, pwede natin ma-convert into centimeter, feet, inch, yard, mile, even kilometers pa nga conversion. For volume, so take note you have different types of conversion for cm cube, feet cube, gallon. For the liter conversion, that will be this one. So this units of conversion. And we have also force. For force, we have usually Newton ang ating nga ginagamit na conversion or ang ating nga unit nga ginagamit. But if ever you will be required to convert it to other types of units, pwedeng amo ni. Take note, for the pound force, amo niyang representation, pound siya, may gamay siyang subscript na letter F. Next, for energy usually, nagadepende siya sa type of problems na given. So, labanan for energy, so joule ang aton usually nga given. So, pwede siya magamit depende for example kung British Thermal Unit or BTU ang ginapangita, so or Newton meter ang ginapangita, so pwede natin siya ma-convert in any form of or any nga type of system of measurement. So, take note lang of the conversion factors. So, usually, dapat ginasaulo ni naton specifically kung nagka-face-to-face class. So, you are privileged right now, hindi yun kinanglan sa uluhon yung conversion factor. Kaya ari na nga daan sa inyong modules. But take note, you have still to master this one because kinanglan nyo ni siya up until your higher years. So, mas okay nga bisan subong pa lang, dapat medyo na-master ta na ang mga conversion factors. Okay, so we have here iban pang mga conversion factors for pressure. We have, usually pressure is expressed in either ATM or pascals. So amo lang muna siya kalabanan or millimeter mercury or mmHg. So we have this one. So usually convert mo siya into PSI or torr. So usually amo na ang mga given. For power naman, so kalabanan, it is expressed in kilowatts or either ang per mig na ginagamit is HP or horsepower. Either dara sa ila ang ginagamit. Pero you could convert it sa ibang pagig nga type of units. So for the temperature naman, so this is very common yung conversion. So we're in, for example, given ka from Celsius to Kelvin, Celsius to Fahrenheit, Celsius to your Rankine nga measurement. So dapat maging aware kita kung paano naton i-convert ang ini nga mga type of units into other types of units. So, we have here sa maghambalta measurement on the amount of size ang aton nga possibly nga ma-encounter nga mga terms nga related to amounts and sizes mass. So we are aware nga that is the measurement of amount of matter in an object. Weight naman is the object of an object is the force acting on it due to gravitational force. We are really aware of this one. We have also volume. Volume is the amount of space that is occupied by a substance. We have molar volume. So, 1 mole volume sang 1 mole sang substance. Density. So, magkambat the density that is mass over volume. Specific volume. So, substance of the ratio of a volume to the mass of a substance. So, specific weight of a substance is the ratio sa imong weights to the volume ng substance. Specific gravity naman, so take note, basta maghaba ka specific, usually that is a ratio. So, ratio ko na siya kalabanan. So, for volume and weight, gina-ratio mo man lang siya sa iya values ng substance. For specific gravity, that is applicable siya usually for the liquid, which is the ratio of the densities ng liquid to the density of water. So again, ratio man Japon, kay may specific na term. Next, we have specific gravity or sang gas. So ratio sang density of the air to the density of water. Take note, basta specific gravity, ang ginalantaw naton is the density of water as aton nga standard nga basis. Next, we will have temperature. So, temperature is the measure of coldness or warmth of a substance. So, temperature, aware na ta niya, bisan hindi ta na pag bisan hindi ta na pag word by word gid nga definition. So, temperature. Absolute temperature is the temperature measured using the scale beginning at A0, with that 0 being the coldest theoretical attainable in nature. So, maghambat ta absolute temperature that is 0. So, 0 siya. So, take note, maghambal ta 0 ang temperature. So, amo na siya ang kinalain na sang absolute bala nga temperature kag or sang sa types of measurement na siya. So, may Maghambal kaya for example, zero ang height. So maghambal kaya zero ang height, wala gid sa height ang gina-measure nimo. Maghambal kaya absolute zero sa temperature. So may gina-measure ka Japon, pero wala kami nakuha nga value. So zero na yung temperature. So boiling point, the state wherein the liquid and the gaseous phases of a substance is at equilibrium. The gaseous kung ang liquid niya nga phase is at equilibrium, boiling point na. Melting point, wherein ang imong nga solid kang nga liquid phase is at equilibrium man. So triple point, so the state where all three phases of a substance coexist simultaneously. So if you will have to understand later on the concept of triple point, if maagyan ta pa siya in the concept of thermodynamics na graphing, so makita tama na Japon ang triple point of water. Graph na siya. Okay, so we have here, if we talk about the concept of conversion sang atong temperature, so may-ari kita dere sang conversion. Okay, so we have Fahrenheit, we have Rankine, we have Celsius, and we have Kelvin. So amo ni ang mga equivalents nila. So we will have this one for the boiling point of water. So kabalotang 100 degrees Celsius na siya. If we convert it into Kelvin value, this will be 373 Kelvin. So take notes ng iyang mga equivalent man sa Fahrenheit kag Rankine. So we have room temperature. So for this one, so depende sa kung ano nga type of subject ang or ang ato na gina-consider. So may ara different types of room temperature na ginagamit. So depende lang if ever for example wala na nahambal sa problem nga magamit kasang value sang room temperature, so pwede naton gamiton ang value nga 20 degrees Celsius. So kung wala na mention, especially kung chemistry nga subject. Pero kung physics, may lain man na siya nga value nga ginagamit for room temperature. For freezing point naman, syempre 0 degrees Celsius na siya for the Celsius nga units. So amo na yung mga equivalents. So we have for absolute zero. So absolute zero is ara siya sa mga negative 273 degrees Celsius. Zero na siya in terms of Kelvin kag Rankine. Okay, so take note lang of the conversion natin. Okay, kung gusto nimo mag-convert from Kelvin to Celsius, dapat we have to add 273.15. Sa iban nga book, automatic lang 273 lang. So, but for our class, so we have 273.15 ang aton nga i-add. So, amo ni ang aton nga measurement. And this one is the derivation actually. So, hindi ta na pag fully discuss kay na-encounter na pila na kaka-discussion ang inyo na-encounter ang ini nga mga type of conversion factors. So, take note, we will have this conversion for the Celsius to Fahrenheit. Depende kung ano ang given. You have to manipulate na lang sa imong formula. Next one, we have pressure. Pressure is defined as the amount of normal force that is exerted over a specific surface area. So that's why we will have pressure, force per unit area. So that's why nga maghambal ta force that is Newton per unit area that is meter squared. That's why ato nga unit is Newton per meter squared. But we will have sari-sari nga mga formulas nga gamiton. So we have here sa mga terms naton, we have pressure exerted by a fluid, normal force exerted by a fluid, surface area on which the force is exerted to, mass of the liquid, gravitational acceleration for G, volume for V, rho for density, H for your height difference of the fluid, resulting to your external force or exerted force. Okay, from the definition, pressure is force per unit area. That's why amo yung F all over A nato nga unit. So this is your force is mass times gravity or mg. So but force is the product of mass and gravity and gravitational acceleration g. So this why we will have mg over a. Take note, depende kung ano ang given sa ating problem, pwede kita makagamit sang any of the formulas nga ari diri. So pwede siya naton if we consider that density is defined as the ratio of mass over volume. So aton nga density, so ang aton nga rho is mass all over volume. So we will have, so pwede naton ang makuha ang aton nga mass, di ba, density is equal to mass all over volume. Therefore, based dara, mass naton is equals to density times volume. So that's why nakakam up kita with ang sining formula. Density times volume times G all over A. But take note nga maghambal kita volume, that is the cross-sectional product sa aton nga area. So, for example, area times height. So that is volume na dayon. Area times height. So, volume na siya. So, pwede siya mag-amo ni ang imo nga formula. So, that will be, so, we'll come up with the formula. Imo nga pressure is equal to rho Hg. Take note, hamba ko kagina, any of this formula nga ari diri pwede naton gamiton. Depende kung ano ang ara or given sa aton nga problem. Therefore, the pressure that is inserted by a fluid is the product of fluid density, the height difference resulting from the pressure, and the gravitational acceleration. Take note also, kung maghambal kita about pressure, may ara kita sang terms nga kinahanglan i-understand. Number one is your atmospheric pressure or ATM. So, is the pressure that is exerted by the atmosphere. Gauge pressure naman, pressure at a point on a fluid above that of the atmosphere. Next, we will have absolute pressure. Is the pressure that is relative to the zero pressure and the empty air-free space of the universe. So, take note. So, later on, ano lang na siya, if we will have to solve na sa different types of problem. So, medyo yun na masyado maintindihan. But take note lang, ang ilang relationship is, maghambal kita absolute pressure that is equal to your atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. Amo na nga ito nga, absolute pressure. So, amo na siya ang mga terms na kinahanglan natin maintindihan danay before kita mag-proceed with the solving ng mga parts sa aton nga module. So, we will have, so this is it danay for this discussion. So, next na nga discussion video is on the application sa sininga concept, sa sininga mga units, kag sa sininga mga parameters nga gin-discuss naton. So, we have another video for the problem solving. This is it for now. Thank you. Stay safe. God bless.